So, no, hold on. Hold on. God damn. I fucking hate you, Dylan. Anyway, why are you recording this?
Because I want to hear the response from the Bible people.
Okay, look, I don't even need to read the verse you're talking about to know it's horse shit, and I'll tell you why I know this. Because just like every other person that comes to me with things like this, it's so cliche and so uninspired. And what I mean by that is like, oh, the Bible vaguely says something that just happens to have some accuracy. I'm like, yeah, you could say that about any fictional work of art. You know that people were drawing pictures of rockets before they existed in comics? You know that, right, Dylan? We were drawing pictures of rockets before they existed, okay? Why is that? People have a pretty damn good imagination, Dylan, okay? A pretty damn good imagination, okay? Now, hold on.
Yeah.
Now, what I'm saying is, Dylan, that people just make shit up, okay? Especially back in the day when you didn't need to have proof for anything you were saying. All you had to say is, well, the Lord said, and everybody believed you. Which, by the way, Dylan, if I were to go up to somebody in the present time and tell them that Jesus talked to me and that I'm the new savior of the world, they would put me in a nut house, Dylan. So tell me, why was it more likely for the Lord to intervene and talk to people back then, but now, you know, if you talk to the Lord, you're crazy? Tell me, why is that? No, what it is, Dylan, is that people who think they talk to God have just always been fucking nuts, okay? These people have always been either on drugs or crazy, and I rest my case.
Wait, so do you think that the people who wrote the Bible were ignorant desert scribes?
Okay, Dylan, where do you think monotheism comes from? First of all, let's not even talk about Christianity. Where do you think monotheism comes from, Dylan? I'm going to prove that Christianity's not right. Okay, are you ready for this? You ready, Dylan?
Okay.
You ever read the Egyptian Book of the Sun?
No.
Well, the Egyptian Book of the Sun was the very first monotheistic religion. That being, it was the very first religion where the people only worshipped one God. Are you with me?
Right.
Okay. Yeah? And isn't it funny that the same stories that appear in the Egyptian Book of the Sun appear in the Torah, the Koran, and the Bible? That's funny, right? You know why that is, Dylan? It's because all these religions just copied off of the Egyptian Book of the Sun. They all copied, they plagiarized, Dylan. They literally took, like, you know the story of Noah's Ark? You know how many books that shows up in, Dylan? You know why that is? Think about what I'm saying makes more sense if you actually sit there and think about it. If God in the Bible is real, then how come it seems like God was made up? How come it seems like he was literally made up on the spot? Like, think about what I'm saying, right? If God in the Bible was real, then how come there are religions that predate Christianity that have the same stories? If our stories are supposed to be true, then how can we just copy it off? You get what I'm saying, Dylan? That's fucking stupid, okay? The whole argument is a house of cards that's going to collapse at any moment. You get where it makes a lot of sense, Dylan. You know, if God is so real, and if God literally spoke to the people who wrote the Bible, then how come it looks like they just copied stories from other books? Okay, if God literally spoke to them, why did they have to copy those stories? You see what I'm saying? Bullshit.
There were hundreds of.
It's bullshit. Okay, the Egyptian Book of the Dead was written hundreds of years before the Bible. Okay, it was written hundreds of years before that. Okay, Dylan, are you with me? Okay. So tell me. So you're going to tell me you don't believe in the Egyptian faith, but you believe in the Bible, when the Bible clearly is just copying off of the Egyptian Book of the Sun. It's clearly just plagiarizing, okay? They changed a few words, Dylan. The Bible's bullshit, okay? You're going to have to realize it. You're going to have to realize the Bible was written by ignorant desert scribes, and if they weren't ignorant desert scribes, they were ignorant people who didn't have science. Like, why do you think the Egyptians worshipped the sun in the first place, Dylan? Okay? Because they didn't know. They thought the sun was like an all-powerful... That's the other thing, Dylan. In the modern day, we know that the sun is not God, which, by the way, when you're worshiping Jesus Christ, I want you to realize that you're indirectly worshiping the sun. You're indirectly worshiping the Son of God. He rises to the heavens with thorns on his head. It's personification of the sun, Dylan. That's what that story is. When you are worshiping Jesus Christ, you are worshiping the sun, Dylan. I want you to realize that. Okay, what I'm saying makes perfect sense if you think about it. I want you to read the Egyptian Book of the Dead, put two and two together and be like, oh, this is all bullshit. Okay, it's all bullshit, Dylan. It's fake. It's fake magical thinking. It's not real. Okay, it's horseshit, Dylan.
There were hundreds of There were hundreds of witnesses that saw Jesus rise up after he rose
Oh,
up.
okay, Dylan. Okay. Let me put it this way. Are you ready for it, Dylan?
Yeah.
Okay. When people want to believe fantastic things, they will band together and lie. Okay? Think about what I'm saying. Like, if you go to a haunted house with a bunch of idiots, right? And you're all expecting to be spooked out, right? You're all going to be spooked out. Think about what I'm saying.
Okay.
Okay, so Dylan, there's hundreds of witnesses, man. Oh, man. You know, witnesses aren't reliable people, Dylan. I don't know if you realize this, but witnesses aren't as reliable as a camera, okay? And I don't care what you say. It's not true, okay? Just because some idiot has a bunch of people backing him up doesn't mean it's true. That, you know, I could say that I'm Napoleon, and if there's like a million people that are witnesses that say, yeah, I saw him, he was Napoleon, you probably still wouldn't believe it, okay? So, think about what I'm saying, Dylan. It's absolute retardation. I don't care if there were multiple witnesses, okay? It doesn't matter. Now, hold on. Also, Dylan, if Jesus rose from the dead, right, and Jesus is the true God of the world, then how come the Egyptian Book of the Dead has, like, almost the exact same story, okay? It has almost the exact same story and was written 200 years before that, okay? Like, so which is it? Is Jesus Christ the Son, or is he the Son of God? What I'm saying is, Dylan, when you're worshiping Jesus Christ, you're indirectly worshiping the fucking Son, you ignorant fat bastard.
Okay, but like, still.
Dylan, you're an ignorant sun-worshipping faggot, okay? Read the Egyptian Book of the Sun and come back to me, okay? You're gonna be like, you're absolutely right. Because think about it, right? If the Bible and all these religious texts are true, then how come it looks like when you read these books, they're all just copying and plagiarizing stories from each other? Like, if these stories are actually true, then how come they need to copy off of each other? Wouldn't the Word of God just be the Word of God and not somebody copying shit out of a fucking book? Think about what I'm saying. It makes perfect sense, Dylan. What I'm saying makes more sense than the stupid shit you're saying.
Alright. So wait,
I want you to know, okay, think about it, right? The story of Jesus Christ is imagery. It's a personification of the Egyptian Book of the Sun. It's a personification of that. That's what the New Testament is. Now, it's awful funny, right? That the Jews were enslaved by the Egyptians not even that long before the Bible was written, okay? What happened was the Jews and the Egyptians were stealing stories from each other. They were literally plagiarizing off of each other at the same time, Dylan, at literally the same time period, or close to it, okay? These stories are horse shit, Dylan. Their people pulled these stories out of their ass on the spot, okay? I want you to realize that, okay? And just trust me, I'm right about this. I am fucking right about this. When you worship Jesus Christ, you're not worshiping the Son of God. You're, without knowing it, you are worshiping the Son, Dylan. And by the way, Dylan, I can tell you that the Son is not God. I can tell you the Son is a star. Okay, the Sun is a star. It's one of many stars in the universe. Okay.
Well, I want you to be saved before you go to hell. You know.
Whatever, Dylan. Well, you know I'm right, Dylan. You know I'm fucking right, and your argument's stupid. Your argument is fucking. You might as well just fucking admit it right now that I'm right.
I mean, I disagree. I think the Bible's is the Word of God.
Okay, well then tell me how the Egyptian Book of the Dead was written 200 years previous and has almost all the same stories. Tell me that, Dylan. Tell me why.
How do you know that's even real? How do you know that's not a hoax, though?
Because it was written 200 years before the Bible. It's proven.
How do you know it was, though?
I'm not talking about this anymore, and I'll tell you why. Because I'm giving you evidence that what you're saying is stupid and you're not listening to me, okay?
But is there actual evidence that was written?
How is that not actual evidence? How is that not actual evidence, Dylan? Okay, look.
I want to understand.
Hold on, Dylan. Hold on. Now, say there was a book, like not the Bible, but a book, right? Like a novel, like a short story, right? That somebody wrote 10 years ago, right? Now, I take this book, and I start taking random stories out of it, and I start writing them in a new book, and I just change a few details, right? Like, how is that not plagiarism, Dylan? Tell me how that's not plagiarism. What you're saying is absolute horseshit. Plagiarism is plagiarism, okay? The people who wrote the Bible and the people who wrote the Torah and the people who wrote the Koran, okay? They all plagiarized off of each other. By the way, Dylan, if those stories came directly from the Word of God, then how come they had to plagiarize off of each other? If they plagiarized off of each other, that means that those books came from man, not God. Those books didn't come from man. Those books didn't come from God. They came from man. Man made up shit, okay? Dylan, we're living in 2018. We can go to the moon now. By the way, according to all religions, we're the only, okay, get this, Dylan. According to the Bible, there were no dinosaurs, Dylan. Okay, according to the Bible, if you take it literally, there were no fucking dinosaurs, Dylan. I'm telling you right now. There were fucking dinosaurs, Dylan. There were definitely dinosaurs on this planet. Okay? You should realize that. And, I don't care I really don't care if you want to believe that you're going to live forever. If you want to be a stupid fat moron, go ahead. You want to fucking believe in a lie instead of believing in the truth? Because some old-ass boomer told you to believe a lie? Be my guest, Dylan. Believe in a lie. But don't expect me to respect you for it. Because I won't. I'll tell you you're stupid, and I will counter every point that you make every single time.
But wait, Rusty believes in the pseudo.
Yeah, I tell him the same thing. Look, Dylan.
Yeah.
Okay, what do you think makes more sense? What do you think makes more sense? Okay? That the universe is mathematical, mechanical, and physical, or that the universe is some fairy-ass horse shit? What do you think's more logical, Dylan? What do you think's been more tested? Okay? Which, by the way, religious people, you know what they've been responsible for over the years, Dylan? Wars, famine, pestilence, plague. Okay? Religious people have been responsible for nothing but bullshit. You know what science has been responsible for, Dylan?
What?
Cars, air conditioning, internet, the house you're living in. Okay, Dylan? Okay, you know what I hate? You know what pisses me off? Is that people would rather listen to ignorant desert scribes than the person who invented the internet, okay? Or like somebody who invented some technology that everybody uses. Like, do you really think Einstein believed in God? Because he didn't, okay? He didn't believe in it. You think Nikola Tesla believed in it? No, he didn't fucking believe in it. As a matter of fact, now hold on, Dylan, hold on. There is no example of any major scientist who has reinvented technology in the last 100 years. There's no great example of any of them that actually believed in that horse shit. Okay?
Well,
so I rest the case.
Some of them believe in a God, but they don't believe in
Yeah, but they're not reputable scientists, Dylan. They're not reputable. Keyword being
but Einstein believed in a creator. He just didn't believe in,
well, he believed in the singularity, which is kind of what I believe in. He believed in the singular. I'm not saying there isn't any weird shit going on, Dylan. But I'm saying the way that the ancient people understood it is definitely horseshit. It's definitely not real, okay? Like, think about it, Dylan. Think about it. You have to admit, I make a pretty compelling case that these books are just copies.
Okay. Well,
I make a pretty compelling. Have you read the Egyptian Book of the Sun? Have you read it?
I'm going to pretty soon. I'm going to try to.
Yeah. Just read the English translation. You don't have to read. You don't even have to read the whole.
It's not even called the Egyptian Books of the Sun. It's got the book called the Cult of Ra or something like that, right?
Yeah, something like But Ra is the sun god. But if you just look up the Egyptian Book of the Sun, what I'm talking about will come up. I didn't know the exact name of it. I read it a long time ago, but you don't even have to read the whole thing. Just you can read some of it, and you'll be like, oh, wait a minute, this is like a story that came up in the Bible. Like, what the fuck? And that book was written hundreds of years before the Bible, which means that the Bible's a bunch of plagiarized horse shit. Okay, so is the Quran, so is the Torah. They're all fucking they're bullshit, dude. Okay, they're fucking bullshit. Back in the day, when we didn't have science, religion was kind of needed because people were freaking out. You know, if they're, you know how stupid people were back then, Dylan? If we had a solar eclipse, they thought the world was ending. They would literally get on their knees and pray. Okay, people would freak the fuck out. Okay, people were not very smart back then, Dylan. People, like, they basically, like, you know what it was like living back then, Dylan? Life was not easy, okay? And people, back then I can kind of see why we had religion. It was very hard to live back then, and people needed something to have hope in because they were starving to death or they were working themselves to death or some crazy shit like that, okay? They needed something to believe in to keep the morale up, Dylan, okay? Well, guess what? God's dead now. Okay, we killed him. We proved he's not real. Okay, we killed him. Let science prevail. Fuck that shit.
Alright, man, but listen, you really think that primordials, less intelligent beings created this, that there's a nature and an intelligent nature and an origin to the universe and more subjective moral truths that exist. You really think that less intelligent stuff created us rather than more intelligent?
Well, yeah, Dylan, you know what a prototype is?
Okay. Yeah, I understand, but...
Okay, Dylan, that's how engineering works. It gets more complicated over time. That's how it works, Dylan, okay? I don't know how you think engineering works. But basically, what do you think I'm doing with AI, Dylan? What do you think I'm doing? I'm trying to make something that's smarter than me. That's what I'm trying to do, Dylan. I'm not trying to make something that's dumber than me because that would be worthless, okay? Why would God want to make something dumber than him? That would be fucking worthless. Think about what I'm saying. You, as an engineer, want what you're building to be the best it can fucking be, okay? You don't want it to be the worst it can fucking be. You don't want it to be flawed. Think about what I'm saying, Dylan. It makes a lot more sense.
Okay. But even so, even when someone makes a computer, really it just starts off as just a bunch of ones and zeros generating to make results. So.
Okay, well, what do you think DNA is, Dylan? What do you think DNA does? Shut up. DNA uses quaternary. Do you know what that is? That's 4-base binary, okay? Because there's 4 base pairs in DNA. There's adenine, thymine, guanine, and cytosine. 4 base pairs, okay, Dylan? That means that DNA operates off of 4-base logic. Which, by the way, Dylan, are you ready for this? You ready for the drum roll?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's logic that comes from binary. Yes, your genes literally operate on binary, okay? You don't believe me? Look it up. There is a huge correlation between biology and computer science, more than you will ever know, Dylan. As a matter of fact, you remember the GINA chart from school? You remember
that? What, the GINA chart? You mean about genes or what?
The GINA chart. Okay, the GINA chart basically it gives all the possible combinations of genes that an offspring can have out of a pool of genes.
Oh, okay, yeah. They didn't call it that though. They had pedigrees and Punnett squares and shit.
Okay, yeah. But I just call it the GINA chart. You know why I call it that?
Why?
Because it's the same exact concept as what memory is on a computer. Like, mathematically speaking, the two concepts are fucking identical.
Oh, okay, so I get what you're saying. So I had a GeneSight test.
Yeah, Dylan, now you understand. Computer science is found fucking everywhere in nature. It's not just on computers. Like, computers were invented to simulate the natural world. Like, the guy that invented the first computer, like, you know what he was thinking, right? I want to make a machine that can give me intelligent output like an animal can. That's what he was thinking. So believe it or not, computer science and biology are almost one and the same if you're thinking about it a certain type of way. As a matter of fact, biology is even compatible with computer science. To prove that, like I said, what do you think carbon nanotubes are? What do you think that is? Okay? Basically, organic material is a form of technology in and of itself, Dylan. It's a form of technology. I mean, you look at a mouse, right? You wouldn't figure a mouse is compatible with a computer, but guess what? It is, Dylan. It is. Okay, so again, my argument stands firm. I mean, your argument stands with no evidence. My argument stands with physical evidence. Where's the physical evidence, Dylan? Bring me the physical evidence and I'll take you more seriously.
Well, the physical evidence is all around us. Look at
there is no physical. That's not evidence, Dylan. No, you're going to say some stupid shit. Oh, look at the trees, man. You're going to tell me a tree can't. No, you know what that's called, Dylan? You ready for what that's called? That's called making an argument with feelings instead of logic, okay? I want you to tell me how that's proof. That I'm looking at a tree and that's proof of God, because that's a stupid fucking argument,
because
Dylan.
Something obviously created it and just
okay, Dylan. Okay, yeah, that's something obvious. Okay, that's not evidence, Dylan. That's not fucking evidence, okay? I want you to get it. I want you to get it right, okay? If you go to the scientific community and you're like, oh yeah, man, the sky is proof of God, they're going to be like, okay, we need more details than that. Can you give us more than that? Can you give us, more substance? And then they're going to laugh at you very hard, okay? Think about that.
Yeah, but think about this now. Modern studies tell you that the universe has an age, 13.6 billion years, right? Which points that from a finite point in the universe, singularity, which was created the Big Bang, right? That something had to put that into existence. Hence, a God, an intelligent God.
Dylan, Just because there is a creator doesn't mean the creator is some all-knowing fuck. Okay? That's fucking stupid. And by the way, if he already knows everything, Dylan, then why the fuck are we here? Why the fuck did evolution need to exist in the first... Which, by the way, Dylan, the Bible's still wrong for one reason. For one reason that I'd like to bring up. It's a little word called evolution, Dylan. And if you don't believe in evolution, then you're an idiot. You're a fucking idiot. Go back to school. Serious. I'm serious. Evolution is real, Dylan. If you refute evolution, I'm not even going to fucking argue with you because you're going to waste my time, okay? This is a waste of time argument. As a matter of fact, I'm wasting my time right now. I'm wasting my breath on a fat-headed oaf like you.
Wait, now I'm
okay, Dylan, this is insulting to me. What you're saying is literally insulting to me. You want to know why? I spent 15 years of my life learning math and science, okay? So some fucking retard who read a book written in the stupid ages can tell me that evolution's not real. Think about how insulting that is, Dylan.
No, I didn't say anything like that.
If you're saying the Bible is real, Dylan, you're basically telling me, fuck you, evolution's not real, even though it is real, okay? You know, it's no different than, okay, there was this black girl in a call the other day trying to say that Nikola Tesla was black. You know, there's some guy that invented electricity rolling in his grave right now. Okay? Okay, it's no different, Dylan. What you're saying is no different than what that stupid nigger girl told me. It's uninformed rubbish. Okay? It's uninformed fucking rubbish. Okay? Evolution's real, Dylan. You're gonna have to accept that if you're not stupid, okay? And I don't think you're stupid necessarily, Dylan. I think you have a lot of sense, but I think you're letting dumbass people get into your head too much, okay? Evolution is fucking real, Dylan. If you want answers, learn science. If you want bullshit, talk to religious advisors, okay? If you want to get lied to, talk to religious people, okay? You want answers, talk to a scientist, okay? That's all I'm not talking about this anymore. Don't bring it up. It's a waste of my fucking time. I don't care what you believe in, but if you're going to ask me what the truth is one day, Dylan, when you die, you're going to be fucking dead. There's no coming back for you. And if you think you're coming back, Dylan, you think you're going to beg God for forgiveness, he's going to give you eternal life, and you're going to be happy forever. That's fairy tale horse fucking shit, Dylan. It's not going to happen, okay? I'm telling you, I wish I could shoot you in the head and bring you back to life. So you'd be like, yup, it never happened, okay? Because it's not going to happen, Dylan, okay? Period.
Okay, so...
It's not going to fucking happen, Dylan. And also, the other thing, right?
Okay.
So let's say you do go somewhere after you die. You go to like another dimension or something, right? Okay, so you know how we're confined to our universe? You know how we're confined to this universe, Dylan, and we can't, it seems like we can't just leave the universe and go to another one out of nowhere? Like, you know how, we're confined to this universe, right?
Yeah.
Well, let's say you go to another universe when you die, like the gates of heaven somehow. It's like in another universe or something, right? Which is the idea, I guess, right? Well, so you're standing at the gates of heaven, and you ask God, hey, this is heaven, right? He's like, nah, man, I really don't know what this is. I mean, you expect me to send you to heaven. I don't even know how to send you back to your own world. So what I'm saying is you'd be confined to whatever universe you ended up in. You'd just be stuck there, okay? Wherever you ended up, you'd just be stuck there, okay? There would be no fucking eternal happiness. There would be none of that. And that's assuming there is an afterlife. If you go to an alternate universe, if your consciousness somehow, which is bullshit, by the way, I know that doesn't happen, but let's say for, sake of fucks that it does happen, right? Just trust me on this, Dylan. I'm not saying that there's fuck. Dylan, you're okay. You remember when I said not everything fantastic is true and not everything fantastic is fake? Okay? It's up to you to be responsible and be able to realize, look, some of the Bible is okay and some of the Bible is bullshit, okay? It's up to you to be responsible and realize that, okay? To be responsible. Note the word responsible. A responsible observer is unbiased, okay? I'm being literally very unbiased. I'm not even saying the entire Bible is bullshit. I'm just saying a good portion of it is, okay? A very good portion of the Bible is absolute horse shit, okay? And you can say that about any religious text. But you know what you can't say that about? You can't say that about the laws of physics. The laws of physics are absolute. They are absolute. They might be immutable by some strange property, but by their own properties, left to their own mechanics, they are absolute. Okay? So, I don't know what to tell you, Dylan. You need to listen to, you need to really be more responsible when you read things. You need to be more responsible and really pick things apart in your head, okay? You really need to think about these things, or you're going to get lied to, and you're going to get manipulated by the Jews, okay? The Jews are literally manipulating you right now, Dylan. I mean, where do you think the Bible came from? Think it came from somebody's fun little ass? No, it came from Jew bankers that were trying to subvert white people to their faith, okay? Seriously, Dylan. You think white people worship Jesus? No, white people were pagan, Dylan. We were subverted by the Jews to this desert scribe horseshit. That's all I'm saying. It's over. End of story. Okay, so have fun getting manipulated by the Jews, Dylan. I'm going to stand over here and not get manipulated by the Jews. Have fun.
Wait, so Jews you think are evil or what? Marshall.
Yeah, what's up?
Do you think Jews are evil?
I don't think they're evil necessarily, as in, like, Soren, for instance. I think Soren probably would have been an okay guy if he wasn't Jewish by faith. Like, they're basically, like Jews are taught from a very young age to basically be slimy rats. Like, that's, they're
it's not even that. Like, you don't understand. Like, the Jewish faith doesn't even believe in Christianity. They don't even believe in Jesus being the Son of God.
I know that, Dylan, but where do you think the Old Testament and the Bible came from?
Jews.
Yes. Exactly. It's part of the Bible, Dylan. The Christian faith was started, at least the Old Testament, which is the beginning of the Bible, okay, was started by the Jews, okay? Jesus Christ came later. It doesn't change the fact in my head that it came from sand niggers, okay? It came from fucking sand niggers, right? And you want to know what Christianity led to, Dylan? It led to such great times, such as, the Inquisitions, You think Christianity is a pacifist, nice? I want to, if I could, give you a time machine, take you back in time to the Inquisitions. You say one thing the church doesn't like, and guess what, Dylan? They cut your dick off and shove it down your throat, and they kill you in public. Okay? They're not nice people, Dylan. They're not nice people.
Do you think that religion generally led to the Dark Ages of scientific oppression?
Not necessarily that. I believe that I believe that in a way religion was useful to science in a way because a lot of religious people did invent things. But believe it or not, Newton, for instance, right? Newton, he was an alchemist on the side. He was an alchemist. But what I'm saying is a lot of religious people did invent things back then, but that's because a lot of religious people back then also happened to be philosophers and scientists on the side, right? So the problem is that back then, a lot of things in the universe we just couldn't account for back then. Like, we couldn't account for a lot of things because we didn't have the technology or the means. Like, a lot of things that Newton has said in his theories, like, he later kind of refuted because he didn't know how to validate what he was saying. And later on, we find out that some of the things he was saying that he couldn't validate were valid.
Yeah.
Same thing with Einstein. Einstein, when he died of anti-gravity, he was like, I can't really claim it in its current state. I cannot exactly claim it in its current state. He dies, and then, some years later, in the 90s, we proved that he was right, okay? So what I'm saying is, Dylan, is that back then, we just didn't have all the tools that we have now, okay? That's why a lot of scientists back then were like alchemists and things like that. Are you with me?
Yeah, and also back in Sir Isaac Newton's time, people believed that the Earth was flat and that the Earth was.
No, that's actually a myth too. No, that's another myth, Dylan. Look it up. Actually, since the earliest form of astronomy, we've known the Earth was round. That's a myth. That is a complete hoax. Look it up. Look up Christopher Columbus flat Earth myth. Look it up real quick.
So why did people not come to the Americas then, or did they actually come to the Americas?
Well, no, it's not that. You know what Columbus was trying to do, right? He was trying to find the Northwest Passage, which is like a quicker way to get to India, right? Which now we know the Northwest Passage is through the North Pole, okay? So what happened was a miscommunication. It's not that okay, yes, he did make a mistake. He did make a mistake, but the mistake was not that they thought the Earth was flat. The mistake that they were making was that the Vikings were telling everyone, the Vikings, had all these stories that, if you just go this way, you'll find a bunch of Indians. So everybody in their head, they were like, oh, India, you know what I mean? And so that's what happened. It was literally a miscommunication. Yeah, there was a mistake, as in, there was a myth. There was a myth that you could get to India by going X, Y, Z, and you get there faster, right? And that was the myth, which is a miscommunication, really. But they didn't actually believe the Earth was flat. I mean, nobody ever actually believed that. From the earliest forms of astronomers, like, all you have to be is a basic astronomer, and you'll realize that the planet is definitely not flat. You can look this up if you want. That's a huge-ass myth, dude. That's bullshit. And the fact that that's taught in American history is just boggles my mind. And this is what I mean about people writing history books not knowing what the fuck they're talking about half the time. You'll see what I mean. Look this up for yourself.
Okay. Well, I do know that people have lied in history as well. Like they can make up whatever they want sometimes too. But the thing is,
yeah, they can lie. But what I'm saying, Dylan, is that the reason that history a lot of times is bullshit is not even necessarily because somebody was trying to lie to you or anything. But like, okay, you know, on the news they're like anonymous hackers. You know that, right? Right?
They're trying to manipulate something.
No, they're not trying to manipulate anybody. The person on the news are idiots. Okay, they're fucking dumb. Do you really think the people on the news know anything about hacking? Do you really think they do? They don't. They don't know shit about the internet. Okay? The people on the news know less about the internet than you do, Dylan. Okay? And you don't even know that much about the internet. Okay? So think about that. What I'm saying is that history is wrong also, and this is something that's not mentioned often, or if it's even mentioned at all. But basically, one day you're gonna, you know, like these people like Box, right, and fucking Ilsec, right? Right? You know that people like this end up on the news because they did some skitty bullshit, right? And the news calls them hackers. Okay, so think about this, Dylan. One day you're gonna open up a history book, okay? And it's gonna be like, it's gonna have a chapter on the great anonymous hackers. Okay, Dylan? That's what's gonna happen.
Yeah, and
I want you to realize that the reason that is going to be like that is because the person who wrote that chapter of the history book didn't know what the fuck they were talking about. They had no clue what they were talking about, okay? It's not even because they were biased necessarily. They just had no fucking idea what they were writing, okay? Sometimes shit like that happens. So, actually, the history books are probably more fucked up than we can even calculate. So, which brings me to my other point. If history can't be trusted, then you can be damn sure the Bible can't be trusted either.
So
the Bible can be trusted even less than a history book.
So if you think that history can't be trusted, and you've shown that, then why do we learn history in school?
Why do we what?
If you've shown that history can't be trusted, I agree with you on that. I don't know about the Bible part, but the history can't be trusted, right? If you think that history can't be trusted, why do we learn it in school anyway? Why do we even learn?
Well, no, a lot of parts of history are accurate. Now, okay, you got to agree with me. Like a good portion of history is definitely accurate, right? And really, no, it is important to know this subject to an extent. I mean, yeah, I agree with you. I don't think it's a very crazy important subject, but I do think it's important to know where we came from. I mean, you can't just like, if you were born into this society and you had no idea, like, any even small details how we got this democracy in place, you'd have a lot of questions. You'd be like, what the fuck is this shit? What is even going on here? Like, that's why we have the history book. It's a good thing to have written records so we can go back and be like, oh yeah, that's why it's like that. You know what I mean? But, yeah, for the most part, I generally agree. But think about this, Dylan, right? The Bible is an inaccurate book of history. I mean, some of the stuff in the Bible's right, and I'll give you that. You see, I'm unbiased still, and you're hearing this from an unbiased source, and I think you're getting that. Do you agree with me that I'm unbiased? I'm not even saying the Bible is just complete bullshit, okay? I'm saying that it's mostly bullshit, okay? I'm unbiased still, and I'm willing to hear another side. I've read the Bible for myself. I'm willing to hear, but I don't hear a compelling argument here. All I hear is Charlie Brown noise. Like in the Charlie Brown shows, when there's somebody's talking to him, it's like, wah, wah, wah. That's what I hear, Dylan. I don't hear any evidence, okay? I don't see... you're not really giving me a compelling argument past some guy said this thing, okay? That's really not a compelling argument. Oh, there were witnesses. Some guy said this thing.
There was a whole lectures that I've been to about, that explained in thorough detail about the nature of the universe, the origin of the universe, and evil and good existing. So morals, right? All that existing because of higher power known as God, right? So... how can you explain all that?
Okay, Dylan, so, all right. You want me to say something else here, right?
Sure.
So, God is the only, so God created life, right? Okay, right?
Okay.
And according to the Bible, God is the only entity with the power to create life out of nothing, right? Or rather, not nothing, but the only entity capable of building life, right? Right?
Okay.
I'm going to tell you how I know that's horse shit, Dylan? You want me to tell you? Because we're manufacturing, because one day, within the next, 300 years, I'm telling you right now, we're going to be able to manufacture our own organisms from scratch, okay? Using nothing but science. Okay, Dylan, I'm telling you it's coming. It's going to fucking happen, okay? I'm not going to be alive for it. You're not going to be alive for it. I'm telling you right now it's going to fucking happen, Dylan. God, this God guy, he's not as special as you think, Dylan. He's definitely like, okay, just trust me on this, Dylan. Just trust me on this. Like, God is not as special as you think. Also, this universe, you realize this universe is not as secure as you think, right? You know what I mean by that, do you?
Okay, yeah. You said it's chaotic.
No, not even just that. Not even just that. Think about this, Dylan. Now this is really gonna get your little head spinning, right? So, God tells you to have faith, right? Right? Have faith. So, often the Christians will use the argument, if you're sitting on a chair, you have faith that chair is not going to collapse on you, right? To which my retort is, oh, but there's an infinitesimally small chance of failure. And they're going to be like, well, what do you mean by that? Well, Dylan, if you slap a table, okay, it's stated in quantum physics and quantum mechanical rule that there's an infinitesimally small chance that your hand will go through that table. It's never been recorded, but theoretically speaking, we don't even know how stable that mass actually is. We don't even fucking know. Okay? So also, if you look at relativity theory, right, that's literally what Einstein's talking about, is literally a glitch in the universe. Because like I said, the Big Bang, the universe starts spreading out at the speed of light, okay? And so what Einstein figured out is the reason that mass can't go in a single direction at the speed of light is because photons had momentum before mass did, and so photons are at the end of the frame already, right? And the film can only roll at the speed that it's rolling. So if mass goes in a single direction at the speed of light, literally the shape of the mass will change. Like it'll become bigger in all directions except the direction it's traveling towards. It'll become smaller in that direction. Think about this. If you constantly get smaller in the direction of point B, you're never going to reach point B because there's going to be more and more space between you and point B. The reason that happens is because when mass goes at light speed, the end of the frame, the universe is trying to keep your reference frame, like your mass, from hitting the end of the frame prematurely because the next frame in the animation cannot spawn until the current frame is finished. Okay? You get where I'm going with this?
Yes.
It's literally a glitch in the universe, Dylan. So let me get this straight, right? So, if God is all-knowing, then how come he made mistakes? How come the universe literally has glitches in it? Does that mean that God is definitely not omnipotent? Think about what I'm saying, right? If God was so perfect and omnipotent, then how come this universe we're living in has glitches? Think about that. It literally has what are comparable to, like, video game glitches. Like, you can literally glitch things. Like, what do you think quantum entanglement is, Dylan? It's a glitch in quantum... It's a glitch. It's literally a bug, okay? So what I'm saying is, this guy that we call God, if he knows everything, then how come he didn't make an unhackable program? This shit's hackable, Dylan. We can hack this shit, okay? We've done it before. Like, relativity theory, glitch number 1. Quantum theory, glitch number 2, okay? And I could go on. I could keep going on. There are glitches. This universe is not secure, Dylan. It's not as secure as you think it is. Okay.
So, do you think that that there could be a glitch so big? Like, do you think that this could be an argument of yours too? Like, if you think that there's an all-knowing God that doesn't want people to do godly things, like, do you think, like, if there's possible, like, humans could actually, like, use enough energy at some point to where we could bend space-time?
It's funny you mention that because, no, you know what a Dyson sphere is? You ever heard of it?
No.
Well, a Dyson sphere is the idea that you put basically you encase a star in solar panels. Like you put solar panels like very close and you encase an entire star with solar panels, right? And so you get like an immense amount of energy from that star, right? So then there was somebody who looked at the Dyson sphere idea and they're like, okay, well actually we could do something similar with black holes. We take a black hole, we put this would be easier to do with a black hole because a black hole has an immense rest velocity, has an immense gravitational pull but it takes up a very small amount of space. Like a typical black hole is probably about the size of a small town, okay? It has an insane amount of mass, it's just very compressed, you know what I mean? And so it doesn't take up much space. And so there's an idea that if you build a bunch of reflectors around a black hole, like just at the event horizon before the mass just gets sucked into the black hole, okay? And then you take some microwave radiation and you just shoot it at the reflectors, what's going to happen is that electromagnetic radiation for that little microwave you shot out, it's going to keep being spun in circles around that reflector. And that it's literally, that's almost like getting something from nothing. You can look this up. Basically, what would happen is every time that electromagnetic pulse were to go around that reflector, it would get a little bit stronger every revolution. And because for all intents and purposes, black holes have infinite rest velocity at a high intensity. You get the math. It's just basically, literally, theoretically, you could build a bomb that destroys the entire universe, okay? It literally has been thought of already. I mean, we don't have access. There's not any black holes that are really close enough. Thank God. Thank God there's not enough black holes that are close enough for us to test this, because that would suck. But
so you're asking.
Also, Dylan. Also, you know how I said about Einstein Einstein said that velocity itself, like mass having velocity, like trajectory velocity, causes the universe to glitch. And what I mean by that is every time you move, right? Every time you move, like I hope you realize that you and I do not exist in the same timeline ever. And what I mean by that is that if you are moving faster than me, and like let's say I'm sitting still and you're moving, right? I want you to realize that we are experiencing time infinitesimally different from each other, meaning that you and I can never exist at the same exact time at any given time. Okay? You get where I'm going? That's literally a bug, Dylan. That's a bug. I don't know what you think that is. But if you were going to relate this to computer science, that's literally an exploit, okay? That's something that I could literally come along and be like, okay, I'm going to hack you, okay?
Now, this is hypothetical now. I know you might think this is bullshit. This has nothing to do with God, but this has to do with, you said timeline. So let's talk about, let's say, do you think, what if it's like another glitch, right? So let's say we live in a super universe with infinite timelines and we just drift in and out of timelines without even knowing it. And that could explain, like, the Mandela effect and shit. And we're just that's another glitch. Like, we're just fucking...
No. Okay. Now here's my position, right? There are probably glitches in the universe that will allow you to obtain all data available in the entire multiverse. There's probably glitches like that. And what I mean by that, you remember what I was telling you about the library?
Yeah.
Well, the library is very, very slow. It operates at the speed of light, which is fast, but not fast enough, okay? Well, with quantum mechanics, there's this theory, because somebody made this piece of software. Remember I was telling you about permutation? Somebody made this piece of software that will literally brute force every single possible string of anything that can even exist, okay? That's like a software-based example of what the library is, like sort of an analogous concept, okay? And what I'm saying is, if we could somehow glitch the universe and find a way to, actually, we already know how to do this because quantum particles can literally teleport pretty much. They can instantly travel. Like in quantum mechanics, we've done this. We've literally had particles like disappear on one end and then appear on another end. We've had this happen, okay, right? So what I'm saying is, one day, somebody's literally going to find a way to build a library of all possible information in the entire multiverse in an instant, okay? In a fucking instant, okay? Which, by the way, omnipotence is said to be something that's unique to only God. So tell me, how come I'm telling you of a method that actually exists to literally get every possible answer?
Well, I just figured something out. So the multiverse is like infinite, right? But the reason that we probably have like parallel universes that are similar with different versions of ourselves is because there's only so much finite data that it's eventually going to repeat itself, right?
Well, actually, it gets even weirder than that. So the reason, now this is my precarious position. This is going out there on a limb here, but okay. So let's say you're the guy who made the library, right? Like you're the engineer, okay, that built the primordial library of the universe, okay? Even if you waited until the end of time, right? There would still be more frames on the board that you could play. You would run out of batteries though. Like, basically there's infinite frames. Like there's infinite frames on the film roll. Like there's infinite possibilities on the film roll, but there's only so many possibilities that the input signal can travel through before it runs out of energy. Okay, so basically the universe in a way is infinite, but in another way it's kind of finite. And that goes for the multiverse as well. It's infinite, but it's also finite at the same time, because like if you're at the end of the universe, I mean, and you could realize this, which you wouldn't be able to because there will be no input signal even in your brain. Literally your mass would deconstruct itself. Basically, you would have no rest velocity, no velocity. Let's assume you could magically have this. You'd realize in your head there's more possibilities than what you're seeing. There's something that could come after this. It's just that the film is stuck on the frame that you're at. It can't move. It can't move to the next frame. You get what I'm saying?
Right. So, like, okay, so here's what I want. What is your view on the multiverse? Like because I've seen like cosmological like shit, like from the like maps, like the heat energy that's been displayed, and they said that there's a possibility that like billions and billions of light years away, that's like without like there's like between the different where there's nothing, that there's another universe out there that like you could reach if you had enough energy to go out there. Like 30 billion, 45 billion light years away or whatever.
Well, Dylan, I mean, I don't know, man. I only like to talk about things that are actually useful for building things. Shit like that is not useful to me because I can't build it, so I don't care. So I'm not going to talk about that. I don't talk about things that I don't think are actually useful, okay? As a matter of fact, the whole black hole thing that I said, I almost didn't want to bring that up because while it definitely can be done, it's not really useful because we have no way to actually do it. So it's like we have this way to build something, you know, and we know it will work. Like, there's no doubt in my mind it would work. It's just that, like, okay, I want you to go find a way to magically get me to a black hole so I can test this, okay? And it's not going to happen, at least not in my lifetime, so I don't care.
What if we could artificially create one, though?
Well, we could probably do that with antimatter, but that, again, would still be a stretch, and I would be very afraid if somebody was able to do that. I would be very scared for more than one reason. With antimatter, it should be doable because basically the reason black holes tear a hole in the universe, like everybody brings up gravity, right? Well, what you don't realize is that gravity, or at least in my opinion, this may be varying with other people's opinions, but they still have to agree with me on some level, gravity and velocity are the same fucking thing, okay? They're the same thing. And what I mean by that, why do you think when you go to the carnival to simulate like feeling heavier, they spin you in a circle? Like, why do you think that is, Dylan? That's because gravity and velocity are literally, they're pretty much the same thing. The only difference is that, okay, so if you're sitting still, right, your mass is vibrating in all directions of space at the speed of light, okay? You're sitting still, but your mass is vibrating at the speed of light. Now, hold on, I'm not finished. That's because that's the speed that the film is rolling at, and so the film is vibrating at the speed of light, therefore your mass is vibrating at the speed of light, okay? So think about this, right? Now your mass may go in all directions at the speed of light, but if your mass attempts to go in a single direction, it's going slower than the speed of light in that direction. Are you with me?
I'm with you.
Okay. So, God damn it, Dylan. There's so much shit to this. You really just need to learn physics and stop listening to these religious morons. Just stop listening to them. They're going nowhere. They're telling you, they're filling your ears up with horse shit, and they're selectively taking things from physics and acting like physicists agree with them. And I'm telling you right now, us physicists do not agree with them, okay? People do this with Einstein all the time. They try to pick apart what he said and try to pick and choose things and say, oh, this is why. You know, Einstein's rolling in his grave right now. He never agreed with any of that shit, okay? People are picking apart what he said and putting words in his mouth. If I could revive Einstein right now and tell him all the crazy bullshit people have been saying about him since he was dead, he'd probably shoot himself and die again. Okay, so you gotta realize, like, there might be a few, like, crackheads. There might be a few crackheads in the scientific community, a handful of them, that believe in this horse shit, okay? But I want you to realize that the rest of the scientific community does not support them, and we basically think that they're, what's the word? We think that they're assholes, okay? Because they're taking the words of scientists that came before them and stretching them and subverting them, okay? Like, if you actually if you actually started learning piles of physics, you'd find out I was right. You'd be like, oh shit, he was right, dude. They're just twisting these people's words and trying to make it look like blah, blah, blah. It's what I've been trying to tell you, Dylan. Like, I am a physicist. That's how I know this. Like, people even twist my words. Like, people can't get anything right. Like, you know, I tell somebody something, right? And people don't even pay attention to all the details of what I'm telling them. Like they'll tell somebody else something I told them, and it'll be slightly different, or if not completely different than what I was trying to say to them, okay? That's because Dylan, are you ready? People are prone to, they're prone to just make shit up, okay? I mean, I don't know what else to tell you. People
here's another thing though, right? So I was at this meeting and I was telling this guy about this keto diet thing I was on, and it's like how it's good for you and stuff, you know, to lose weight. And these other people heard about it in the group, the Christians, right? There was this Asian girl that was there that was a girlfriend of one of the guys learning to be a youth pastor, and she was like, "Oh yeah, the keto diet, it's bad for you." And she was like this Asian chick. And I was like, "Yeah, I'm pretty sure she's like a vegan or a vegetarian or mostly that." Like,
also, like, Dylan, why are you fucking recording me?
Because I want to listen to it later. I want to like think about all this.
Alright, yeah, don't fucking give out I just don't want you fucking, like, being a dumbass. Like, yeah, I don't know, being recorded about my personal views on the universe. Or rather, I shouldn't even say my personal views, considering that there's more than one entity involved in this, so I shouldn't even say my personal views, but I don't know, man, I'm talking to you about this in good faith that this is a private conversation, basically. I don't like it when people repost what I say. I mean, even if, I'm not saying anything embarrassing necessarily, it's just that, you know what I mean, like, it's like when you're talking to somebody and they repost your PM.
I wanted the religious guy to hear what you had to say and to have him try to provide counter argument. Is what I was really aiming for.
He's not going to have a valid counter argument. He's probably not even going to listen to the whole thing.
He might, I don't know.
He's not going to provide a valid counter argument, Dylan. He's not going to. Which, by the way, that video you gave me, right? Both of those people in that video were fucking morons, okay? I would have bitch slapped both of those people. I would have made both of them look stupid, okay? So, the problem is that I'm not an atheist. I want you to get that out of your head. I literally, like, my personal spirituality is honestly, and this is like, I believe in neurophysics. I believe that neurophysics runs the universe. Okay, that's what I believe. And there's actual evidence behind this. Neurophysics is a component of all things, at least on some level. Okay? On some level, neurophysics is a component of all things.
So wait, how did evolution coming from the different things to make living things from non-living things come together to make the heart, the brain, all of that? How did that?
Well, it didn't happen right away, Dylan. It was an engineering process. I mean, that's like saying, well, how did man build a car engine out of, how did they just all of a sudden do that? Well, you know, Dylan, it's called engineering. Okay, I don't know what else to say to you, bud, which, by the way, I just said that neurophysics is a component of all things, meaning that on some level, all things are on some level intelligent. Okay? All things. You don't believe me? You know, if you go to the golf course, you know, chances are you're not going to get a hole in one. Even if you're really good at golf and you're really far away from the hole, you're probably not going to get a hole in one, okay? There's a small chance you will, though. Meaning that anything that happens, there's a small chance that what just happened is going to accidentally solve a problem, just somehow, some way, okay? Which means what I'm saying is that anything in the universe can solve, bacteria can solve problems. You don't believe me? The space station couldn't get around in zero gravity, okay?
There's a common myth that people say. They're like, oh, lightning never strikes in the same place twice. And they're like, no, that's not true. It's very rare for it to, but it can happen.
Actually, I'd like to retort, it's actually impossible for anything to be in the same place twice, not even just lightning. You know what I mean by that?
Like,
so the Earth in our galaxy is constantly moving, right? Like the Earth, our solar system, the galaxy is constantly moving, right? Meaning that while we're sitting here, if you were to look at our XYZ axis, if you were to look at our XYZ location in the universe, right, it's constantly changing. It's never static.
Yeah, but can it strike the same spot on the ground?
Well, no, it can't. Well, even then, it can't strike the exact same. I mean, think about it, right? There's no such thing. Like, there's no such thing as a perfectly smooth anything. There's no such thing as
because everything like has infinitesimally, yeah.
Yeah, basically all that has to happen is time passes, and that, wherever that spot was, changes a little bit. You know what I mean? Like, everything's changing all the time. Nothing is static. So, I mean, yeah, it can hit the same spot twice, but literally, can it hit the same spot twice? No, absolutely not. Because you have to realize, not only, I mean, even if it hits generally the same spot, the shape of that arch is going to be different. It's going to have a slightly off trajectory. You know what I mean? Like, that's technically, I mean, that's kind of false, but it's kind of true at the same time. That's kind of a weird concept, but you get where I'm going with that.
Yeah, kind of like making the hole-in-one. Like, you can make the same hole-in-one again, but it's not exactly the same. It's going to go in, the ball's going to go in a slightly different direction to make the hole-in-one.
There's no way to get. Even if you try to, like, replicate exactly what you did, it's going to be a little off.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, like, technically that's bullshit, as in, like, yeah, it can hit generally the same area, duh, but, like, you get what I mean.
Yeah, that's kind of weird to think about. Jeez. That's a mind fuck for some people. Let's say I think about it.
But that's what I mean, a lot of things in physics, they're like, well, things are like this. However, if you're thinking of it from this standpoint, they could be like this. You know what I mean?
Well, so, you know, I had a physics teacher once, and I was talking to him about the laws of physics, and I said, I was asking about the laws of physics, and he's like, well, the laws of physics can never be broken. And I said, well, can you manipulate the laws of physics? And I asked him about black holes, and he says, well, the laws of physics break down in the black hole and everything else. So my question to you, Marshall, is can you break the laws of physics and or manipulate the laws of physics?
Well, I think no, hold on. Okay, so now your physics teacher really didn't give a great explanation there. I mean, do I generally agree with him? I mean, kind of. But here's the deal. Like, the laws of physics, it's not that you can break them necessarily. It's that you can find some strange circumstances where they don't apply. So, for instance, like Newton says that every action has an opposite and equal reaction, okay? However, there's a certain scenario where you're in free fall on a planet with low gravity, like a planet with low gravity, right? You're in free fall, right? Well, guess what? Your descent to the ground is completely reactionless. There's no reaction until you hit the ground, okay? And that doesn't mean that Newton's laws are fake. That doesn't mean they're fake. That doesn't mean I broke Newton's laws. That just means there's a certain circumstance where those laws didn't apply anymore, okay? Where in a normal circumstance they would still apply. So I think that's what he meant to say. You know what I'm saying about that, Dylan?
Okay, well, what about when the laws of physics break down or you can manipulate them? Like, you can, like...
Well, Dylan, you can only... Dylan.
Yeah.
It's property of a circumstance. Just because a certain law of physics doesn't apply in a certain circumstance doesn't mean that law of physics is no longer valid, because if you go back to a normal circumstance, those laws still apply.
Yeah, but
what I'm saying is that what your teacher meant to say is that laws of physics will always apply to the scenario that they apply to, and they will never change, okay? However, there may be some oddball scenario that we haven't considered where they don't apply. That doesn't mean that we've broken the laws of physics. That just means that they don't apply to that specific scenario.
So what about, okay, you said the light speed thing. Okay, you said, okay, well, maybe we can't travel at the speed of light, but what if we somehow move the space around us and we can travel around the universe at a fast
Well, that sounds kind of like what a warp drive does.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah, what if we could have a
warp drive? With a warp drive, the problem with that is that there's an immense amount of energy required to do that. And not only that, we're not even sure that that's like a safe way to travel. Like, you know, you put an animal in there and like we don't know what's going to happen to that animal. We don't even know if that's safe, like, for that animal to do that. So the thing is, Dylan, also, even if it's possible to breach the speed of light somehow, right? I mean, that might not even be very useful information to us, depending on how we'd have to use it. Like, you know, suppose we find a way to do this. You know, you get in the spacecraft, right? And then you turn it on, and then your head explodes like a tomato as soon as you turn it on. I mean, yeah, great, you're traveling faster than the speed of light, but you're dead. So what use is it? What I'm saying is properties of circumstances, Dylan. You have to consider properties of circumstances, okay?
Yeah.
Me, I'm really only interested in things that I know you can build something with. Like, if I can't build something you're saying, I just really don't know what to do with it.
So your final argument is you believe what's in the material world and that God, that Jesus Christ.
Not necessarily that. No. You're now see, you're twisting my words again. This is what I mean. You didn't listen to the whole thing. I'm saying that not all fantastic things are real and not all fantastic things are fake. However, I am saying that a very good deal of fantastic things probably are fake. Okay, as in, I'm pretty sure, as in, I can say this without almost wholeheartedly, 99.99999% certain that Jesus did not rise from the grave. That never fucking happened. I can tell you with certainty and clarity that the people who said they witnessed that were either on drugs or they just banded together and were like, fuck everybody else, we're just gonna lie. Okay? There were no lie detector tests back then, Dylan. There were no lie detector tests. I mean, we couldn't verify it. You know?
No, there were no cameras.
You get what I'm saying? Like if you were to be put in front of a modern courtroom, right? And they were to ask you to prove something and a bunch of witnesses came in, you know, they would be pre-screened witnesses. They would be given a lie detector test. They would be put under psychological analysis. They would be put under, they would be put through scrutiny before they were considered as a viable witness, okay? Whereas in the Bible, if to be a witness in the Bible, you didn't have to be put under any scrutiny such to the extent that you would in a courtroom. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So yeah, you have to realize, like, a witness is only as reliable as his screening. Like this witness has to be screened. Like, you can't just take a witness's word for it. A witness is prone to just making shit up.
Well, a witness is only as reliable as a screening and a source is what you should test.
Pretty much. Yep.
Yeah.
And of course his psychopathy, that too.
Or you mean his what do you call it? His affect, his personality.
Yeah, something like that, like his psyche. I didn't mean to say psychopathy. I guess it's a stupid word.
His psyche, yeah, his overall way of.
And that's now see, which brings me to the next point. Now that's a place where psychology actually belongs, right? Whereas for a lot of things, psychology just doesn't like for that specific thing. I think psychology actually applies to that, you know?
Yeah.
Because it definitely does. Like, you know, like you can look at like the average Christian or the average Muslim, and you can come to some seated psychological reason why this person believes in that delusion.
Well, so that's what people need to admit is that psychology is about the study of behaviors and being able to observe those behaviors in other people, not the brain. That's neuroscience. And people are trying to say, oh, well, psychology involves the study of these neurotransmitters and all this other shit in the brain. And it's like, no, it's not. It's behaviors. It's
right. It's kind of like the difference between hardware and software on a computer. It's kind of like the difference. Like the psychology is like the immediate exterior technology. It's like the software almost, if you want to think of it like that. Not really like the software, but you get what I'm saying. It's like sort of similar to that, I guess.
Yeah, psychology is kind of like what you can see on the exterior of people, and then the neuroscience gets into what you see on the interior of what you can study of them.
Yeah, pretty much. It's like behind the hood, over the hood sort of thing. So I mean, I'm not even saying, like I said, Dylan, I'm an unbiased source. Like, I'm pretty unbiased. It's not even that I'm saying psychology is like complete horseshit, because I mean, I can think of many times where it would be actually a useful thing. It's just that a lot of psychologists have their head up their ass. You know, they just don't know what a lot of the things they're saying haven't been properly tested to even be able to even be saying with it, even able to proclaim that.
Okay, to assess people's functioning, right? Like, let's say they go to a mental hospital. Let's say they need a psychological assessment. Let's say they need an assessment. Like, using psychology alone to determine someone's mental state or mental readiness or mental fitness is crap. Like, you need some type of imaging or some type of actual usefulness, like from something scientific, rather than just some type of some behavioral report that some doctor writes.
Well, I mean, it also depends on the observer.
Yeah.
It also depends on the observer, because some people are really good. Some people are really good at putting a peg on you. Some people really are good at that. But I wouldn't say that's more of an art than a science, though. There's no way that you can like physically definitively do XYZ, but you can pretty much make an educated guess that XYZ is true. And so I guess that psychology in a way is, yeah, it's a lot of guesswork, but we've come to, we base a lot of it just on statistics. We're just like, okay, well, this statistic thing seems to be this or that. So we can just, but that isn't always the case though, because a lot of these psychological case studies were proven to be just made up on the spot, because like later on we tried to replicate a lot of these case studies and we realized a lot of them we could not replicate them. And like I've said before, if you can't replicate an experiment, I mean, then it obviously was never done in the first place. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. Part of the scientific method is being able to replicate your.
I mean, there is a case. Right? There are cases where I can say that doesn't apply though. For instance, like with neurophysics, there's times when like because neurophysics is such a chaotic thing. There's a lot of things you really can't replicate. Like, and that's partly why a lot of psychological things really that's partly why. Because the brain is such a chaotic thing, like maybe, there's something that only applies to one person on the whole planet. Like, you don't know, you know what I mean? So, the brain's a pretty chaotic thing, and that's why. There's probably, I guarantee you there's somebody out there where he has just some weird psychological characteristic that for some reason it only applies to him and it's never been recorded. So
what we need is case studies, reliable case studies from valid sources and videos of these actual people, the participants. Like, we need something that we can go off of rather than just some damn journal.
Well, and also, psychology in traditional times was had no rules. Like, if you wanted to do some completely immoral study, that was allowed. And so back in the day, man, like psychologists back then were a bunch of they were actually, I would say they should have been revered back then, because they had the balls to do what nobody else was doing. And these days psychology is like, you're not allowed to really, a lot of the things you'd like to test, you're not even allowed to test. So I don't know.
Well, that's with anything. I mean, that's just they've as society has gotten into more into the years, is we've basically just become a bunch of pussies, dude. We just become a bunch of pussies.
Like all these niggers running around. Why don't we just round them up and start doing fucked up experiments on them? I mean, what else are they worth?
Yeah.
Say it, but fuck it.
We do need to toughen up as a society, because we're becoming a bunch of babies.
This person, he's like, this guy's racist.
Yeah, each generation after generation is becoming more and more baby, to the point as if you just insult somebody with one insult, they'll literally just start crying.
Well, I hate to say it, Dylan, but religious people are just like that. Like, in the Muslim faith, using the word, naming something after Allah is, for whatever reason, a hard sin. So now there's this word that exists that nobody's allowed to use for anything. Okay, so it's like, what? And also Christians are the same way, because back, not so much anymore. Like, they're not as radical maybe. But you know what, Dylan? If you were to get rid of the electricity, get rid of the phones, get rid of the cameras, right? If somehow all of that shit shut off, right? You know what would happen? We'd go back to the Inquisitions, Dylan. Okay, that's what would happen. If you take away
that's the other thing too. That's the other thing too. That I noticed. I do believe in Christianity, but there are some things I find flaws in people with it and in the religion. Is for example, people try to say, "Oh, you shouldn't cuss. God doesn't want you to cuss." Well, how would you know? It says nothing in the Bible about that. Where the hell does it say in the Bible? Can't say fuck you.
Yeah. That's stupid. Not only that. If we're so special and why are animals permitted to feel pain? What? And not only that, we're not even special, Dylan. In the Bible, and Rusty said that this isn't true, and the religious guy you're going to talk to, he's probably going to try to talk in circles and try to talk some way around this. But it says in the beginning of the book of Adam and Eve, the story there, and I'm right. It says that Adam and Eve were kind of like animals. Okay, they were not self-aware. Okay, they were kind of they weren't aware that they were naked. They weren't aware that of anything. They were just simple animals in the beginning, right? So they take a bite from the fruit of knowledge, and now they're self-aware, right? So by that, the Bible is suggesting that we are the only self-aware animals on the planet. That's bullshit, right?
Because of the Turing test.
Yeah, it's definitely bullshit. It's bullshit, because look, you want me to prove we're not the only self-aware animals? Look up self-awareness test chimpanzees. They pass. Self-awareness test African gray parrot. self-awareness test, cephalopod, okay?
Right. Here's the argument that my youth pastor had, right? Well, he says that humans are the only ones that can verbally express themselves, are the only really intelligent.
Wrong. African gray parrots. They learn up to a 4-year-old human level of intelligence, and they actually understand what they say. It's been recorded several times. Not only that, did you know that an octopus actually beat the world record for solving a Rubik's Cube puzzle? This has been recorded. Now, a lot of people are saying this is a hoax, but I'll tell you how I know it's not a hoax. Are you ready for this?
Yeah.
Octopus have more advanced brain neural network than we do. They literally have more than one brain, okay? The reason that we rule this planet, Dylan, is more to do with the fact that we have opposable thumbs, and we can express our intelligence better. Meaning, if I were to cut your hands off and pull your vocal cords out and put you in the middle of the jungle, you would be hard-pressed to build any kind of technology. You wouldn't build anything. You know what I mean? You'd basically go back to being like a stupid animal.
So it's like we have intelligence, and so do a lot of other creatures on the planet. We just have better tools.
But we have more of a way to express that intelligence. We have more of a way to express it, is what I'm saying. So, you know, like us as humans, we think we're the big bad boys on the block, but I'm telling you we're not. Dude. There's animals on this very planet that are as smart as us, if not smarter than us, and that really can't be quantified that well because they don't have opposable thumbs.
What about dolphins?
And actually, it's theorized by more than one neuroscientist that specifically octopus are the smartest animals on the planet. They have more than one brain. They're constantly like you give them puzzles to solve, and they're constantly solving it quick as shit, okay? They're constantly solving these challenges very, very fast, okay?
So what about dolphins, though?
Dolphins are pretty smart, too. And, actually, though, but dolphins aren't as smart as octopus. And dolphins are actually not as smart as humans either. That's a myth. That's bullshit.
You know what else is a myth? It's only really dumb people say this stuff. They're like, oh, how big a brain, and the bigger the brain, the better. But that's bullcrap. It's how advanced the neural network is.
Well, sort of.
Okay,
Size of the brain matters, but there's a pyramid here. There's 3 things that account for intelligence, okay? Number 1 is what you just mentioned, architecture, the build, okay? Which is like to say the engineering model of your brain. So humans run the predator primate architecture. We run the same architecture of brain that, for instance, a chimpanzee runs. But the brain of the chimpanzee is still different, which brings me to number 2. The only difference between your brain and a chimp's brain is that your brain is slightly larger, okay? So yeah, size does matter to some degree. But if you're running a bad architecture on a large brain, it's not going to matter that much. I mean, yeah, you get a little bit smarter, I guess. Which brings me to number 3. If the specimen gets too large, meaning technically a larger brain means the specimen itself is larger in stature, like its body is bigger, its frame, okay? Now, but there's a time that flatlines. There's like a ratio to consider here, like a sort of a Yeah, what I'm saying is that if you get too large, your organs are so large that it's hogging all the blood to your brain.
Like whales.
There's actually a study done that suggests that people with big dicks have lower IQs, and that's simply because there's so much blood going to their dick and not enough blood going to their brain, which makes sense if you think about it.
Yeah, that's another thing too. Is I heard is that the people with the bigger dicks they have a hard dick, but they can't keep it. Like the people with the smaller ones.
Right, that's because it takes too much blood. Yeah, so yeah, dude, like Phil, he has basically a horse dick. I know that's weird, but I renamed him to Horse Dick Phil because somehow I got a picture of his dick and believe me, that shit is a horse dick, dude. It looks like a stack of cans. Okay, anyway, I would not want my dick to be that big ever because he was telling me one day, I didn't even realize this, like I didn't even really think about this, but he was telling me, he's like, sometimes when I get an erection, I feel like I'm going to pass out. I'm like, what the fuck? So yeah, dude, I would definitely not want to have a dick that big. That sounds like it'll be very uncomfortable. I don't know.
Yeah, mine is like small because I'm like fat. But the thing is, like, it's like it doesn't really ever like fail unless I'm not using it. Like just like like I can always keep it until I'm done.
Yeah, hold on, I'll be right back.
Yeah, man. All right, man. Wow. So this guy basically went on an argument with me for about, well, it wasn't really an argument, it was more of a discussion, but basically for about an hour about religion, science, technology, just things that are in life, and with death too, and I thought it was really interesting. What do you guys think? I don't know. But just I thought it was really interesting. I'm sorry we included a bit about something kind of inappropriate at the end, but yeah, and he cussed somewhat, but it's whatever. Just get over it. You're adults, you can handle it, right? So anyway, yeah, this is basically who I am. I'm Dylan Ford. I like to go on Skype a lot, talk to people about all kinds of different things, because I don't really have any friends in real life, but it's fun to get in these discussions with people, I think. So yeah, it's pretty fun. But yeah. So anyway, I think people from my Bible study might be listening for me. I don't know. They might be. Yeah, I know my youth pastor Omari might be listening to this part of a recording or not. He might listen to part of it. Might listen to all of it. Don't know. But Omari, if you were hearing this, hey man, how's it going? Bible study meeting. I didn't really know anybody there. I knew a few people, but didn't really talk to anybody there. I only talked to Omari. Or you Omari, or whatever. I don't know. I usually have to approach people socially to get them to talk to me. I don't get approached socially. I'm not that approachable person usually. Well, not all. I don't know if it's always true. It just applies to certain circumstances. Events like that, I would consider myself under the radar, so to speak. But it's kind of a good thing, kind of a bad thing. Kind of reminded me of high school and how it was, and that kind of made me sad the other night. Kind of started crying about that last night. Pretty kind of bad, but I got over it, so it's whatever. Just don't like thinking about. I don't know how lonely I truly am, but it's okay. Independence, it's alright. I usually can talk to people who are leaders easily, like people who work at gas stations that run the place, or youth pastors like you, Mari, or people like teachers or principals of school, or people who run a counselor's place, or a head place, some college. I could probably have a thorough conversation with the president if I had the chance. Or anything. It's just I know it sounds kind of a bit over the top, but I don't know, man. I just have a thing with leaders. I don't really. It's not that I don't get along with followers. It's just people who are followers of a certain group. Just don't really associate with them verbally as well as I do with leaders. And I guess maybe that's a sign that I should be a leader rather than a follower of something. But maybe I'm meant to be a leader and not a follower. I don't know. But yeah. Anyway, I think I'm going to stop this recording right here. Looks like Marshall's not coming back to talk any longer. About really much of anything. I might do something else again. I don't know. But talk to you later, people. Hope like and subscribe my videos, and give me some ideas for some more videos, okay? All right. Talk to y'all later. Bye-bye.